Hey there, welcome to Get Up and Go Challenge Day 31. I call it audit, assessment, inventory, check-in, checklist, whatever you want to call it. I'm in a group that calls them audibles, when you just take and you evaluate how things are going for you. Now, on day 3 of this challenge, we actually did one of these. On day 3, I said, okay, let's look at all 7 areas and aspects of our life. Remember, we've got physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, and contribution. 7 areas of our life that, we can describe them any way we want, but those are the ones I learned from Tony Robbins about 40 years ago, and they're the ones that stick with me. And I actually created a set of keys that I carry around with me that remind me of each of these 7 areas and aspects of my life. It's just a little fun way to visually remember that I need to consider all aspects of my life, not all the time, but at least some of the time, or they will get my attention. And the same, I suspect, is true of you. I didn't pay attention to my health for a long time, like a couple of decades, and boom, my health shut down totally and totally gave me a wake-up call. So we did that on day 3, and day 3, here's my little cheat sheet of assessments. And actually, I'd done this earlier this year in April, about 4/20, I think it was. When was the date on this? Well, 4/19/20, I don't know what day, but it was a day, probably the first couple of days of April, when I first did the Get Up and Go challenge for the very first time. We did a month-long challenge to just get up, get moving, make sure that we were doing things and taking action and not being frozen by all the craziness and chaos that was going on with COVID-19. So I noticed that what I had rated myself in certain areas in April was different and actually going the wrong direction than what I rated myself in August. And I don't usually go back and look at the previous one. I just ask myself, how am I feeling today? Like a snapshot. So how am I feeling today? And guess what? A whole lot goes into each of these categories, right? Our physical well-being, a whole lot goes into that. It's our energy level, it's our exercise, it's our what we eat and consume, it's what we're doing and what we're excited about physically doing. And of course, it interacts and combines with all the other areas and aspects of our life. Very few areas and aspects of our life are unaffected by our relationships, are unaffected by our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. We are interconnected human beings, and there's so many things that go into play. But I'm asking you today, this very day, just to combine it all together and ask yourself on a both gut instinct, gut level, heart level, and head level, what would I rate myself on a scale of 1 to 10 overall for my physical well-being, my physical being today? What would I rate my overall mental level to be from a scale of 0 to 10? And no, not over 10 and not under 10. Don't make it negative. If it's 0, it's 0. That's as low as you can go. If it's 10, it's 10. That's as high as you can go. I love it when people, I actually hate this, it's a pet peeve of mine, when people say, I'm going to give you 120%. I did a lot of interviews in my corporate life, and people would come in, I will give 120%. I will give 150%. And I'm like, thinking in my mind, you got 100%. That's all you can give. You're not a machine. We can't increase your efficiency to give more than that. Can you continually learn and grow and produce more and create more and give more value because you become better? Absolutely. But then that's your new 100%. So 0 to 10, 0 to 100. When I ask for percents, don't tell me 110 when 100 is the maximum you can get. And why do I say that? So that we're all measuring the same way, and it's all still subjective, but at least we have some kind of common understanding. So physically, mentally, mindset, thinking, beliefs. Then we get into the F to E, emotions. Rate your overall emotions. If you're feeling sad and depressed and glum all the time, you're probably not a 10. If you're feeling happy and ecstatic and energized and excited and you can't wait to get up and run and go and create more, whatever it is you're trying to create in the world, then you're probably a 9 or a 10. But it's totally up to you to overall look at these 7 aspects and areas of your life and give them a number. And why do we give them a number? Because I'm a nerdy engineer and I like to have numbers and subjective measures of things, so I know if I'm making progress or not. Because if somebody would ask me how I'm doing in the beginning of August, I would have said I'm doing awesome, I'm doing fine. But then if I look at the numbers of how I rated myself at the beginning of August, and I do the average of those, average overall, I was a 6.143. That's pretty average, normal. I want to be better than that. I want my life, and I want to be showing up in every one of these areas and aspects of my life better than average. I want to be better than a 6, right? That's rounded to a 6. So that just reminded me, hey, you think you're doing okay, but maybe you're ignoring and not paying attention to all the things you need to pay attention to if you really want to be living the life at the level that you're telling yourself you want to live your life at. And I'll be honest, I know I've been like, backing off and holding back and not doing things that I know I should and could do. And I'm not going to use COVID as my excuse. Is it part of the reason? Yeah, but it's certainly not the whole reason. It's more likely that there's other areas and aspects of my life that I'm having messed up thoughts or feelings or beliefs or insecurities about than it is, or I'm having old beliefs and old patterns pop into my life than it is anything to do with the current pandemic. Because guess what? Any situation, any time of our life and our world, individually we're going through changes all the time. COVID has just made it so that millions and millions, and actually almost the whole world, is going through changes simultaneously. So it's just this massive wave of change that we're all experiencing. So what else? Mental, emotional, spiritual, spiritually overall. Our spiritual relationship with ourself, our higher power, our interaction with the world and the universe and God and our souls as a whole. How is that on a scale of 1 to 10? Or you can use 0 to 10 if you want. If you're absolutely in a funk in a certain area and you just don't feel like you know how to come out of it, go ahead, give yourself a 0. But if that's not going to make you feel good, chances are you've made progress in some of these areas. And if we're not starting at a 0. A 0 is what we start out with when we're born, right? When we're born, we all start at a 0, and then we quickly ascend and move through our scale, and we go up and down and up and down and up and down. Remember the lifeline exercise? Our lives, even good things, even massive, say you win an award for a physical competition or something that you're in, that's a good thing. But in order to do that, maybe your relationships suffered a little bit or went down. Maybe other areas or aspects of your life went down, but you still had this high point, this pinnacle point in your life or in your physical well-being, but other areas suffered as a result of it. Not necessarily suffered, but were less emphasized during that period that you were working to become this perfect version of yourself physically. And we all do that. We can do it toward what we want, or we can do it away from what we want. And sometimes we move away from what we want just by default because we're not paying any conscious attention to it. So what I want you to do today is just rate and go ahead, and I made it a little sheet, and I actually was going to do it on September 1st, but I decided today was a better day. And tomorrow what I'll do is I will hop on, and as quickly as possible, I will summarize the last 30 days, what we did as we went through this 30-day Get Up and Go challenge, just as a reminder and a refresher and kind of a guide. So if you want to go back and say, oh, I totally missed that day. What did we really talk about? When did we talk about why? When did we talk about the 7 whys? I think that might be something I could really benefit from. So tomorrow I'll do a quick summary of each of the 30 days, and not each individually because some of them I'll combine, because there were some things that we did in a clump of 4 days to really go deep on a certain area and aspect of our life. So today, rate each of those 7 areas. You don't have to share it. Just write done in the comments below when you've actually done it. But I'm going to share mine and talk about mine tomorrow. I honestly have not done this yet today, and I wish I wouldn't have looked at, and maybe I'll do it later today so that I don't remember what I put, so that I really go with how am I feeling overall in this area and aspect of my life right now. And it's always just a snapshot. It's like a picture, right? Sometimes we have pictures of us that are absolutely horrible and we wish somebody would just get rid of them. And other times there's pictures of us and we look and we're like, dang, I look okay in that picture. I look kind of good there. Who is that? And that's what this is. It's just a snapshot. And so, were my April numbers maybe more accurate than my August numbers, or did something happen in the last, April, May, June, July, August, in the last 5 months that have caused me to go backwards in some of those areas? Or is it just how I was feeling on, when would I have done this? August 4th, when I did this. Maybe I felt different about my life and my circumstances on August 4th for some reason than I did in April. April probably, I don't know, first, second, third. I'd have to go back and look at the videos and find out what and when I did this then. All right, that is it. That's all I've got today. Go out and have an absolutely fantastic day. Just pay attention. Write these down. Just say done. And tomorrow, join me for a quick summary. I probably won't be 10 minutes. I haven't done a very good job since about week 2 of keeping them under 10 minutes, but they haven't been too bad. 12, 13, trying to keep it close. If you have any questions, if I can help you in any way, if you're still confused or struggling with any aspect of your life and applying the SOAP model to it, just hit me up in the comments below, and we will spend a few minutes running through it. And I guarantee that you will have an eye-opening, enlightening moment about, oh my God, this is way easier than I think it is, and it should just be automatically part of my life. All right, have an awesome day. I will be with you tomorrow.